Welcome to our Thursday EnCaf Podcast. In today's episode, we'll cover the United Nations Environment Programme's alarming report revealing the environmental impact of resource usage by rich countries, the projected 60% rise in material extraction by 2060, and its implications for our climate and well-being. Our planet is facing a triple planetary crisis: climate change, nature loss, and pollution, according to a recent UNEP report. This crisis is primarily driven by unsustainable consumption and production, leading to an overwhelming demand on Earth's natural resources, which have tripled in extraction in the past 50 years and are expected to rise another 60% by 2060. Such growth poses a severe threat to achieving global targets on climate, biodiversity, and pollution, and compromises economic prosperity and human well-being. Interestingly, the weight of this impact is not evenly distributed. High-income countries use 6 times more materials than low-income countries, resulting in 10 times the climate impact. This disparity highlights a stark inequality in global resource consumption and environmental consequences. The 2024 Global Resource Outlook calls for essential policy changes to reduce the projected growth in resource use by a third. The goal is a world where the economy can grow, well-being can improve, and environmental impacts can be minimized. UNEP Executive Director Inga Anderson emphasizes working with nature rather than simply exploiting it. It's essential to decrease mobility, housing, food, and energy systems resource intensity to sustain a just and livable planet for all. The report brings to light that, while resource use and environmental impacts remain minimal in low-income countries, upper-middle-income nations have drastically increased their resource consumption, mainly due to infrastructure growth and the relocation of resource-intensive processes from wealthier countries. To counter the high levels of consumption in affluent countries, focusing on reducing resource and material consumption could cut global resource use by around 30% compared to historical trends. This gives hope for a balanced future where global economic growth, improved lives, and adherence to planetary boundaries go hand in hand. The report also offers strategies where resource use needs to grow, ensuring that human needs are not resource-intensive and the benefits of resource use surpass the rate of extraction. This includes incorporating environmental externalities in trade agreements and strengthening the regulation of financial commodity markets to avoid a detrimental race to the bottom on environmental and social standards. Co-chair of the International Resource Panel, Janez Batonik, declares that resource-intensive means of meeting human needs are unacceptable, and we must shift away from valuing extraction-based economic success. Meanwhile, Isabella Teixeira, another co-chair, underscores the need for collaborative efforts to phase up resource-based solutions to meet climate, biodiversity, and equity. The Global Resource Outlook further delineates specific measures such as institutionalizing resource governance, directing finance towards sustainable resource management, and mainstreaming sustainable consumption options. Implementing these policies can lead to significant transformations in various sectors and contribute to a decline in resource extraction and substantial reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. To conclude, the report emphasizes immediate actions based on the best available science, as many policy commitments have not been fulfilled amidst the urgency of the triple planetary crisis. Thank you for joining us on Rich Countries Have a High Carbon Footprint. Today, we covered the critical findings from UNEP's report on resource consumption, the expected rise in material extraction by 2060, the inequality in resource usage and its impact on the climate, and the vital steps needed for a sustainable future. Remember that by addressing the crisis of consumption and production, we open the possibility of a better, more equitable, and environmentally sound world for generations to come. Thank you for listening, and until our next episode, let's all strive to leave a smaller carbon footprint on the Earth.